is, personally, I would believe it's a little more than that, just based off of the volume and the numbers that come through the program. Like, if it's anything like it is now, back then, from 1984 to 2013, I could just imagine. Like I said, I met her in 2014. Okay. But in 2013, when Wilmington was going through, an epidemic of gun violence, and that's when the CDC came in and declared Wilmington whatever they declared it at that time because of all the gun violence. Miss P kind of like transitioned the program, and she created Project New Start to be a catalyst for positive change. At the time, there was a lot of gun violence, individuals getting arrested, and she started working towards reducing the recidivism rate with this program, Project New Start. So it transitioned from professional staffing, which was a staffing agency, to Project New Start, to what it is today. Now, since 2013, for our program, the numbers are, like the stats, we have enrolled 174 justice-involved individuals. And justice involved could be anybody that's been either incarcerated, or maybe they were locked up, but they didn't serve prison time, or maybe they were on probation. So to get in our program, you don't have to be just coming out of prison. A lot of people are under the impression and the assumption that it's just people coming out of prison, but that's not it. Anyone that's been justice involved could be a client or a candidate for our program. Now, since that time, since 2013 till now, so we will be celebrating 10 years come this October from the time that the first class started, the first cohort. 174 individuals have been enrolled, 128 have graduated. Now, of those 128, 116 graduates have secured employment. So we have a 91% employment rating over the duration of these 10 years. Approximately 78% of graduates have not been reconvicted within 3 years of being released. So we track our clients for 3 years out. So we have a specific way that we track them for the first 6 months, and then another 6 months, and then into year 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So the program itself is structured, and it's kind of, so we're located on the Widener School of Law campus, which is our new home. We used to be located in the Claymont Community Center. So we had a room that was upstairs of the Claymont Community Center, and those is where the classes were run. Now we're located on the Widener campus. We have a building that sits in the back of the campus, and it's set up kind of like it used to be the old library. So it's set up, we look at it, it's kind of like a classroom. It's tables in there, it's computers in there, so the guys could do their job search, and they could get on the computers and do research. So it's set up in a very professional setting, which is extremely beneficial for us, for the population that we serve, because they're coming to us every day from 8 to 3 every day, and they're coming in a professional work environment. So the program runs 2 cohorts a year. The first cohort runs from October, excuse me, I'm jumping ahead of myself, from April to June. That's the first cohort. So our spring cohort runs from the first week of April until the first week of June is graduation. The second cohort runs from October, the first week of October, to the first week of December is graduation. So it's 2 cohorts a year. Each cohort is 10 weeks, 325 hours. So the program starts at 8:30 a.m. and is over around 3 o'clock. Sometimes we let out around 2:50 because guys have to walk to the bus stop, and that bus running from up on by Concord Mall, it comes just about 3 o'clock on the dot every day. So if we let them out exactly at 3, some of them will miss the bus. So we'll let out around 2:55 sometime to give them time enough to get to the bus. It's a very intensive case management once individuals are in the program and after they complete the program. So that's what I do. And we call it intensive because even though we track individuals for up to 3 years, we're pretty much involved with them for as long as they want us to be involved with them. So what that means is this. Right now, we have individuals that are reaching out and coming back to us that have graduated 4 and 5 years ago. But, you know, one guy in particular needed assistance with housing, reached out to the program, and we tried to connect him with some resources. Another guy just in his last class was somebody that came through the program years ago, but he came up to the class this year and was saying, hey, you know, he's been working, but he's trying to find a better job. He got all the certifications that he got through the program. And we tried to do some job search with him to assist him in finding a better job. But he's someone that graduated like 4 or 5 years ago. So it's past the time that, I guess, the textbook time that we normally would case manage, which is up to the 3 years. But the guys that are involved with the ladies and gentlemen that are involved with the program, it's never really over unless they just want to be done with us. Right. Because if they reach out to have their resume updated, like if they, let's say they're not computer savvy and they've gone through 2 or 3 jobs and it's been, you know, 3 years, it's been some time since they graduated, but they reach out and say, hey, Quincy, you know, I'm going for this new job and I need my resume updated. You know, is that something you can help me with? The answer is going to be yes. It don't matter that he graduated 5 years ago. The answer is going to be yes. We're going to assist them with that because our job, our mission, and our focus is to combat violence and reduce recidivism, right? So if that means assisting a guy that graduated 5 years ago with getting better employment, and that's going to keep him out off the streets or out of the streets, then we're going to do everything in our power to assist him the way that he needs to be assisted. So yeah, we may say up to 3 years, but the duration is extremely longer than that. The curriculum is, so I'm gonna just tell you what we do. Sure. Every day from 8 to 3, I facilitate, along with the deputy director, Brian Aline, we facilitate the program on a day-to-day basis. So we have employer partners, not employer partners, community partners that come into the program every day to assist our clients with the things that they may need. Now that may be social services. So through the duration of these 10 weeks, social services come in. So, you know, guys may need food assistance. They'll come in and help them do the application for the food assistance. They may need Medicaid. You know, the social services, they'll come in and they'll pretty much ask each individual person what it is that they may need or may need help with, okay? We have CPSU, Community Partner Support Unit. They come in all the time to assist guys with whatever it is. We have a partnership with Christiana Care. Christiana Care, one of the representative from Christiana Care comes in and do sexual responsibility in relationships, okay? So, and that's just to educate individuals on, you know, the importance of being responsible. Mm-hmm. And Christiana Care also comes in and do training on healthy eating and healthy lifestyles, where they'll come in, we'll talk to them about what it is that the guys may be interested in cooking, and they'll come in and do a whole demonstration on how to cook a healthy meal with a crock pot. And that's like what the community partners do. We do parenting class, we do financial literacy, we do relationships, we do with the Jewish family services. They come in to assist individuals with, you know, mending broken relationships, how to build new relationships, what a healthy relationship look like. Now you got to understand, this is all post-release or post-involvement with the justice system. So a lot of times, you know, some of this stuff need to be retaught over because maybe individuals don't really understand what a healthy relationship look like. But by the end of this 10-week program, we put guys through forklift training. So they'll graduate with a forklift certification, flagging training, they graduate with their flagging certification, ServSafe. If they want to work in the food industry, they'll be ServSafe certified. OSHA 10, which you need if you want to work in construction in the state of Delaware, and I don't know how else further across the country, you need to be OSHA 10 certified. So we have facilitators that come in and do the OSHA 10 training. Landscaping, we partner with Dove Tech University, Delaware Technical Community College to do landscaping and forklift. So guys will go through the landscape training and the forklift training through Del Tech, and they'll graduate with those certifications. We also do financial literacy, computer literacy, which is really big because a lot of guys are not computer literate. You know, they have trouble being able to go on the computer and put in the application on the computer, or how to, you know, follow up via email. So we go through all of this stuff at least once or twice a week. We have the guy that comes in and does the computer literacy piece. So that's very important. It's a lot of things that we do. So one of the things that you know, my associate and I like to say is there are services that we offer that aren't written. And what we mean by that is, you know, the stuff that's on paper look good. You know, the resume building, the mock interviews. You know, we partner with Barclays and Capital One to do mock interviews. All of that stuff, you know, it looks really good when you list these certifications on paper. But the stuff that we do, like when a guy needs, you know, I'll give you an example. A guy got put out, had an issue, 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, my colleague got up out of his bed to go pick this guy up, to go take him to a hotel to help him, you know, find shelter. You know, today after work, I'm out picking my kids up, but a guy is calling me for a bus pass because he got to get to work tomorrow. So now, even though I'm off the clock and I'm on my personal time, I figure out a way to facilitate a way to get him a bus pass. You know, all of this stuff can't really be written. Like once you're dealing with individuals and you're building these personal relationships, it's hard to write all that stuff, because by that time it's outside of the program. It's more so like, I have your best interest at heart now. You're a part of me and I'm a part of you. So when you call me and you say, hey, I got to get to work tomorrow, I lost my bus pass today, can you help me? I'm gonna have to figure out a way and find a way to help you, because the last thing I want, or the last thing I want to see, is you losing your job because you couldn't get to work. So let's figure this thing out. I'm gonna have to tell my kids, hey, hold on for a second, daddy got to take this phone call. That stuff don't get written down, you know? So over the duration of these 10 years, all of the stuff that this program has provided is so beneficial and it's so essential to reducing the recidivism rate, combating crime and violence in the city of Wilmington, that it needs to be duplicated and replicated, but it's not enough bodies to do the work. And, you know, I stand here honestly as a 10-year representative of the program, because in 2014, I came through the program. I embody this program wholeheartedly. You know, I was released for a violent offense that happened back in 2010. I went away, I was facing life. I ended up, you know, plea agreement. I had 15 years, suspended after 5 years minimum mandatory. I did my 5 years, came home with a whole buttload of backup time. But when I got over to the Plumber Center work release, I met Miss Priscilla. She came over there, interviewed me. They thought I would be a good fit for the program. I went through the program at the old place at the Claymont Community Center, graduated from the program. I started work the day after I graduated from the program at ShopRite. That was my first job when I came home. I was making peanuts. I worked there for 18 months until a better job came through, that Miss Priscilla called me again and said, hey, I got this other opportunity. Would you be interested? So I worked both jobs. I worked ShopRite at night and I worked at BF Rich as a window man during the day. So I had a full-time job. My full-time job, which was ShopRite, I transitioned to part-time. So I worked BF Rich in the day, ShopRite at night, and then eventually I ended up securing a job at St. Francis Hospital, where I worked for the last 6.5 years until the opportunity presented itself for me to become part of the staff of Project New Start. So I don't just stand here today talking to you as just an employee of Project New Start, somebody that's just talking it. I'm speaking to you as someone with lived experience. I'd have been through the justice system. I had a violent offense that could have took me away for the rest of my life, but it's a program like this that has given me a second chance and actually saved my life. So that's what this program is about. Anytime I picked that phone up and called, somebody from the program answered. Anytime I needed my resume updated, somebody was there, whether it was Miss Priscilla or Miss Cassandra at the time, God rest her soul. She was one of the facilitators that passed away when I was in the program. They would, hey, we still got your resume on file. They would fix it, whatever I needed them to put on there, and email it back to me. I remember I needed clothes for an interview. They paid for my interview clothes, which we still do today. So that's some of the stuff that we do every day. We make sure individuals got bus passes if they need them. They get back and forth to work, to the program, to probation and parole. Transportation is not an excuse as long as you're willing to stand on a corner and wait for a bus, because we're going to make sure that you have a bus pass. We make sure that if they have an interview coming up, that we do the interview prep and we help them with the clothes for the interview. When we do have finances available, we was given a grant last year that helped us assist with housing. We pay housing for a lot of individuals. Food, individuals that come through the program, we make sure that they eat every day. We provide lunch for them. So it's just the whole curriculum is geared around taking somebody that has had challenges, getting them the skills in some of these certifications that will make them more marketable in the workplace or in the work field, in the workforce. So you come out of the program with these certifications where you're not limited to one industry. You may want to cook, so you got your ServSafe certification. You may be somebody that's a little more physical. You got your OSHA 10, you could go do construction. Maybe you like the warehouse life, the logistics stuff. You got your forklift certification. Maybe you're an outdoorsman. You got your landscape certification. You know, so we're not just one industry focused. We're taking ladies and gentlemen, men and women that have had these challenges. They go through this 10-week program, and when they come out of this 10-week program, they got some things that they could put on their resume that will actually give them a chance. And any other help that they need besides that, once they graduate, we're literally just a phone call away.
Wow.
So I hope that, you know, sums it up, you know, a bit for where it started with Miss Priscilla in her career and her journey, what her vision was to put this program together in a way guys like myself have taken it and carried the torch, and we're out here waving the PNS banner.
Well, first, thank you for all that information and congratulations, not only for yourself, but for this organization and how much you do. I've been acquainted with a number of organizations that try to help recidivism, and this is unbelievable as far as the number of organizations you touch and the procedures that you provide for these individuals. It's interesting because you mentioned, you know, finance and relationships and health and, you know, work areas. And then you came in lately with the housing. What are some of the areas that you feel you could even benefit more for some of these individuals?
Definitely housing.
Housing, okay.
And I know across the board, every every organization kind of like speak the same way. Like housing is an issue. It really is an issue. So, you know, for us, like I said, when the finances were abundant to be able to support individuals with housing, we utilize that to put guys up temporarily until they could find something and transition into something stable, which has worked. We've seen it work and is working right now. You know, we have guys that we have assisted with rental assistance for up to 3 months once they found a place. So let's say an individual, they find an apartment, okay? We may assist them with the first 3 months rent, right? And that's not being paid to them, that's going directly to the landlord. Now, the stipulation behind that is if we're assisting you, then you have to go into the second phase of the financial literacy, which is the one-on-one financial coaching with the organization that does our financial literacy, okay? You have to meet with them once a week for 7 weeks to organize your budget, to come up with a plan, so that once these 3 months is up, based off of what you're making, you can sustain on your own. So that's why it's important for us to try to assist individuals in finding employment that's going to be decent and pay enough for them to be able to provide their basic living needs. And that nobody wants to talk about it, but yeah, mortgage and rent is a basic living need. Everybody talk about food and clothes, but shelter, if a guy does not have a roof over his head, and we've seen it with the clientele that we serve, he can't even focus on getting a job.
Mhm.
So if we can eliminate that stress, if you know that you're about to get out of the plumber center, which is our work release or our halfway house, you done did 2 or 3 years in jail, you're transitioning into the work release, but you got 4 months before you get out and you don't know where you're going to go. That's a big stressor. You're down to 2 and 3 weeks and you know that in 2 Fridays you get out, but you don't know where you're going to go. We can't like put the pressure on you and hey, well, you know, it's important that you find a job, because if you don't find a job, you ain't gonna be able to find, you know where to live and all of that kind of stuff. It's a stressor. So what we've seen and what we've noticed, if we could ensure that individual that, hey, when you get out, we have somewhere for you. So like I said, when the funds were available, we utilized them wisely. When you get out, we have somewhere for you to go. We just need you to focus on getting a job right now. We need you to focus on letting us know exactly what industry you want to get into. We're going to assist you with that, and we need you to worry about getting a job. Once that shelter piece is gone and it's not a worry anymore, guys open up and they'll find whatever it is that they need to find as far as employment, transition out of the program, they're working, they go into the housing situation for 2 or 3 months, we're assisting them. After we're done assisting them, they've saved up some money, they've come up with a plan, they become responsible, and they can pay their own bills. We've seen it. We have individuals in the community right now. I'm not just talking about a hypothetical. Guys that have come through our program that we have assisted with this housing for 2 to 3 months, put them through the financial literacy, the one-on-one coaching, and right now they're out here working and paying their own bills and not going back to jail. And that's a great thing.
That is an awesome thing. Thank you for that. Any questions from others? Go ahead, Fran, and you're on mute.
Yes, Quincy, thank you for all that information. I'm just curious about the shelter option. Do you all have houses that you can place some of these individuals in, or is it mostly rental assistance in apartment buildings?
Okay, so it works a few different ways. So one way is, one of the partners that we partnered with was the Newcastle County Hope Center. So we would assist individuals into getting into the Newcastle County Hope Center. Right now, we just reconnected with the YMCA downtown, private landlords as well. So if a landlord has a house, that may have 3 bedrooms, then we'll try to work something out with that landlord to where maybe, basically we could put our individuals there and we can cover the lease for up to 3 months as well. But after that, these 3 individuals will split the bill, which we have situations like that going on right now, and that's working out. We have situations right now where guys have found their own apartments and we assisted them in the beginning. And then now, lease and everything is in their name. The apartment is in their name. We just assisted them for the first couple of months, and then now they're paying on their own. So it's happened a few different ways, and it's kind of like whatever way we could make it happen, we try to make it happen. Originally, we were putting guys up in a hotel, but that became like extremely expensive on a week to week. And there's some of these hotels and motels, they're run down, they're crummy. The situation that the client is facing going into the motel is counterproductive to what we're trying to do. They're surrounded by a whole bunch of the stuff that is not good for them anyway. So we tried to come up with other options. And that's when we started exploring other options. And the Hope Center became an option. The Y became an option. Private landlords became an option.
Can you explain, because I'm in Sussex County, I don't know, I'm not familiar with Hope Center. Can you just briefly explain what that is?
Okay, so the Newcastle County Hope Center is an old hotel that during COVID, County Executive Mac Myers put together some kind of initiative, and the county took over. It was an old Sheraton Hotel that's out in Newcastle, and they turned this hotel into temporary housing shelter. But the way it's set up on the inside, they have all the wraparound services right there. They have the Bridge Clinic in there, and the Bridge Clinic can administer medication for anybody that may need medication. They have a Christiana Care triage set up in there. For homeless families, they have it to where the buses could come to the Hope Center and pick the kids up and get the kids to school. They have an aftercare service for the kids set up inside there. So it's basically an old hotel that Newcastle County I guess they brought and paid for. They've taken, control of, and they turned it into a temporary housing shelter. But the services that they provide in there, all the wraparound services are there.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Who else had their hand up? Go ahead, Margie.
Quincy, I was just wondering, who funds you? I have two questions, actually. Who funds you, and do the people that benefit from your services, do they have to be recently released from prison, or somebody who's been out for several years but is still struggling? Can they access services through you?
So the second question is easier to answer than the first. The second question, anyone has been justice involved, whether they're recently released, whether they're on probation now, whether they're at the Plumber Center work release, the women's facility, if they're coming out, if they was justice involved 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and they're still having challenges, they can apply to get into the program. Our next cohort starts in October, and I'm sure Mr. Michael has all of your contact information. If you know someone that would like to apply, they could either contact me or just call the general number for the program, leave a message. We'll call them back and we'll start that process. They will have to fill out an application, come in for an interview. We'll discuss the application between the staff and send them an acceptance or a denial letter if they're approved. But anyone that's been justice involved can apply. The first question, as far as the funding, I do not have all of the answers to that. That is a Priscilla question. I do know we get mostly private fund. I think it's private funding, like if it comes from like the banks, Bank of America, Barclays, Capital One, that kind of thing. Miss Priscilla spends her days, all days, writing grants. That's what she does all day. While we're out here working and running the program, we try to, alleviate that stress off of her so that she could write the grants and keep the funding coming, because we need that to assist the individuals that we assist. But as far as where exactly it comes from, that's a Priscilla question, and I apologize that I don't have the information.
Can you put how to contact you in the chat?
Yes.
Or can Michael do that, maybe?
Yeah, I can do that too. Go ahead, Quincy, if you're in the chat.
Okay. And the phone number is the first number is the office number, 302-478-2806. And someone is there from 8 to 3 every day. Well, Fridays through the rest of the summer, nobody be there. We're working from home. But Monday through Thursday, someone to be there for right now. But come September, all through the rest of the year. Somebody will be there every day, 8 to 3. 302-478-2804. That is that's the message line. So if they called that number and they left a message, that message is going to go directly to Miss P, and she's going to email us to call the number back and get in touch with whoever it is that called and left the message. And that is my email address at the top. So if you have a client or you have anybody that will be interested or could utilize our services, please do not hesitate to have them contact us.
Thank you, Quincy. Fran, how about you?
Yeah, so I guess a couple of questions. How big is your staff? How many people do you have on staff? And how many people are in, what did you call it? A cohort or a class?
Yeah, class. So we have a very small staff. It's 4 of us, including Miss Priscilla. So on a day-to-day, it's 3 of us in the class. And the cohorts are anywhere from 10 to 15 individuals, male and female. We do have more men. You know, it's usually more men that apply, but in the last 2 cohorts, we did have 1 lady in each class.
Okay, so I know that Priscilla is the executive director. Can you give me the titles of the other people, please?
So
I've got yours.
Priscilla Turgan is the executive director. Brian Eileen, BRIANALLEYNE, Eileen, he's the deputy director. Myself, I'm the program specialist / case manager. And then we have Nichelle, NICHELLE Watson. She is the like the community liaison. Her title is community caseworker. So she's like the community liaison, the one that goes to the community events, the one that goes into you know, like the probation and parole, set up the tables at the job fairs, and she's a case manager as well. So it's Brian, myself, and Nichelle, and Miss Priscilla is the director.
So who, it sounds like you have a lot of partners that come in and do a lot of the training, et cetera. Who's the contact? How do you get those folks in? to do all
So
that?
kind of like this, you know, if we have some partnerships right now that we've developed or that we made contact with, and we built those partnerships years ago, and they're still partners. But as far as new partners, it happens kind of like this, like us having a service that we offer, you having a service that you offer, and then now we work to figure out how can what you're doing assist our clients, and then we work you into the schedule of the next class. That's exactly how it happened. Like if Mr. Michael said, hey, well, you know, we run a program that could teach you how to tie a tie. So now in the next cohort, right, we know that it's important to know how to tie a tie, because every time we're doing these mock interviews and a guy comes with a tie, he's never tied a tie before. That could be very, you know, beneficial for, you know, his success in his career, depending on which way he want to go. So we'll work Mr. Michael into the schedule, you know, whether he's coming once a week, twice a week, or maybe just one time through the cohort to do one of these trainings to teach guys how to tie a tie. So like Stop the Bleed, you know, Stop the Bleed, when that's Christiana Care too. Stop the Bleed is not a every day, every week training. It's a one time through the course of this 10 weeks, they come in and they run a training on how to stop the bleed, how to tie a tourniquet. If you're, you know, in the city and something happens, somebody gets shot, the difference between a gunshot wound and a stab wound. How do you save somebody's limb or life by stopping the blood from flowing? That's a one-time training. But the parenting, you know, the parenting courses or the relationship courses, those partners come in one day out of every week. So that's an every week training for the course. I mean, every week, you know, situation. for the duration of the 10 weeks in every cohort. Every cohort is going to get parenting and relationships. They're going to get Jewish family services every week. Where Stop the Bleed may come one time, Mr. Michael might only be coming one time to show guys how to tie a tie. Mr. George, who comes in and do the computer literacy, he may come in 2 times a week because you need, and it may only be for 1 hour or 2 hours, but this is how we find the partners, by having these open conversations and dialogues with people who have the same interests as us. And that interest is combating violence and reducing recidivism. If you're in the space of wanting to keep people alive and keep them out of jail, then we find a way to work together.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Just for clarification, Quincy, you mentioned this 10 weeks and you mentioned the number of participants that are in there. You also talked about so many different programs. Are the individuals staying just for specific programs that they want to get more involved in, or are there's
Nope.
for all the different programs that are shared?
All of them. It's part of the curriculum.
Okay.
So the way the day will look like this. 8:30, we start with a word of the day. So somebody in the class, and this is something that actually one of the students in the class came up with. He would always sit there and look through the dictionary, and then it was just something he wanted to do, like, let's just do a positive word for the day, or let's pick a word out of the dictionary and see what it means, and how can we add this word to our vocabulary. So it's something that we found time to allot in the schedule because it became beneficial. The word of the day started out with just one person's ideal sitting at the table. That became part of the curriculum. It is so awesome. His name was Javier Ayala. And unfortunately, he passed away from a heart attack a month after he was released from prison. One of his arteries split while he was sitting on the porch with his mom. They couldn't revive him. He passed away. But they called him Chico. So now at 8:30, we have Chico's word of the day. The word of the day may be pride. We'll read the definition of pride. What does pride mean? And then now we'll go around the room and we'll dialogue for 10 minutes about pride. What does pride mean to you? And it opens up this magnificent dialogue amongst the community. Then we have a positive affirmation. So we got the word of the day at 8:30, 8:45, we have a positive affirmation. At 9 o'clock, our first partner come in. So that first partner may be Christiana Care. They may be coming in to do the sexual responsibility. They'll stay from 9 to 10. At 10 o'clock, another partner come in. It might be DHSS. Health and Social Services may be coming in to assist guys with the applications for their Medicaid. They may stay from 10 to 11. From 11 to 12, myself and Brian, we may be doing resume building. So we may, start gathering information to put on your resume. Then we go to lunch from 12 to 1. We come back, we got another partner from 1 to 2, another partner from 2 to 3. That's the way the curriculum is structured every day. So every day somebody is worked into the schedule, and that includes us because it's stuff that we do. So we do like the resume building, we do the 30-second commercial, we do the ex-offender statement. And what that stuff is, your 30-second commercial is your elevator pitch. I'm sure everybody heard of an elevator pitch. If you're on the elevator with the CEO of the company and you want to pitch your ideal, you got from one floor to the next before he walk off of this elevator. So you got to give it your best shot. So we've formed that into the curriculum, right? When you go and you sit down in this interview, post-release, you've been incarcerated, the first person that the interviewer is probably going to ask you is, tell me a little bit about yourself. How do you answer that question? So we coach guys on how to answer that question, how to explain their situation, how to just put it out there in a way where, it could be accepted. Your ex-offender statement. Hey, I see you was convicted of a felony. Could you tell me a little bit about that? How do you take what happened in your past and how do you utilize that to be able to explain who you are today? Yes, I was convicted of a felony. I was sentenced to 15 years. I did 5 years mandatory. During that time, I enrolled in education. I got my GED, my high school diploma. I became a resident tutor. Once I became a resident tutor, I started assisting other individuals and getting their GED and their diploma. I instantly started giving back to the community. Once I was released, I came home. I enrolled in Delaware Technical Community College, where I finished my associate's degree in business. I've worked for Project New Start for the past 3 to 5 years, and I'm looking to be a intricate part of your organization. How do you take what happened, right, which may have been a negative thing, but we're going to flip it to what positive you have going on right now? That's your ex-offender statement. So this is the stuff that we teach and we run. So throughout the schedule, hour to hour, they're getting different stuff every hour. It's something different.
Amen. I just had another quick question here as far as, you have a number of partnerships, but here we are, an organization of, the email that went out to announce this program goes out to about 70 plus people. In the summertime, typically we have a dozen or so plus, like we have this evening, but we record this so other people can get involved. How can we be an advocate for your organization? What are some of the things that individuals who are, Christians here that are part of our church organization and other churches, how can we help?
So I think one, support is always great. Just supporting our cause. And a lot of times that support is besides financial. The financial is always good because it takes the finances for us to be able to do certain stuff like the clothes and the bus passes. But I would say if there are things that you can identify that your group or your organization does well, and it may be valuable to someone that's had challenges in employment, then let's find a way to make that work. Let's find a way to take what it is that you're already doing, and how can we, find a way for us to be able to implement that into what we're doing. I mean, that may be as simple as somebody may have a property that they're not using and they want to rent it out. We need houses.
Sure.
Somebody may have a closet full of clothes that they're not wearing, blazers, suit jackets. We could use that stuff. We got men coming out all of the time that could use that for interviews. So, the way I answer that question is always like, anything helps. Just spreading the word of the program or just advocating for the program in your church organization. Everybody has, it's 2023. By this time, everybody's family has been touched by the justice system. Everybody's family has been touched by addiction in some kind of way. So if there's anybody that that may need assistance, then you can help just by carrying the torch and being a advocate for change.
Great.
And that may be too broad of an answer because it's not specifically on what exactly you can do, but I just feel like there are so many areas to help that is not just one thing that it takes to make this, to reach this goal, basically.
Sure. Appreciate it. Any other questions? All righty.
And
Okay.
for Miss Fran says she was in Sussex County. One of the things that we talk about is how do we scale up? Like how do we expand this thing? Yeah. Because I am from Newcastle County, but I've been down here for almost 2 years now. I recently relocated to Kent County. Miss Fran, what does that look like? For us to be able to start, Project New Start South or something like that. Like this is the kind of stuff that is on Miss Priscilla's mind. Like, how do we take what we're doing right now and stretch it across the state? Because we run programs downstate too, but we're just not there physically. We run those programs over Zoom. So when we're out of session, like right now, our graduation was in June. So we'll be out from June until October. So in July and August, for the whole month of July and August, once a week, we're running classes via Zoom in the Smyrna Work Release Prison, CCTC, and the Sussex Work Release Road to Recovery, SCCC. But we're just running them over Zoom like this, where they're on Zoom and we're facilitating a program over Zoom. So we're not down in Kent and Sussex physically, but we are trying to branch out and do some programming down there.
Great, thank you. Eric, you're on mute, by the way. Eric, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fred and I work with the Way Home in Sussex County, which is a program for parolees. And I'm on the board, Fran is on the board. So we need to reach out and make connections, Sylvester, so we know more about each other. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yep.
Sure.
Yep. And I feel like as far as downstate need more services like you know what we're doing up here.
Right.
Because a lot of times, and I myself have personally driven down to Sussex County, because once guys come through our Zoom program, even though they're in Kent and Sussex, if they need help with like interview clothes and stuff like that, we'll still assist them. I've driven down to Sussex County. A guy just came home and he needed clothes. I've driven down there myself to, you know, buy him clothes because he was coming home with nothing. But it would be great, you know, like if it was more of us, like, you know, the programs that could intertwine and make this stuff happen down there, you know, rather than me driving 2 hours to assist one of our clients down there. So the connections definitely need to be made.
Good.
Very
I'll
good.
reach out.
Any other questions this evening? Okay. Well, again, Quincy, I want to thank you for your participation. I want to thank you for the organization that you're supporting. And for those of you, again, if you just want to Google Project New Start, you can get some information there. But again, thank you so much for your education this evening, and hopefully a lot of us will look at how we can be not only advocates, but obviously support you with as much opportunity as we have, both financially and health, food, clothes, whatever it may be. So thank you again. And the rest
Yes,
of you,
definitely. That would be greatly appreciated. You know, like you said, health, food, clothes, you know, financially, however, you know, you can support, definitely do that.
great.
We appreciate it. And thank you for this time. Thank you for letting me be
Thank you
here
so much.
Yeah,
to
thank
speak to
you.
everybody. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all time on this late in the evening. You know, I definitely appreciate taking our time just to listen to me and hear what we got going on. And however y'all can help, we would appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you all again.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, and we'll
You too.
talk to you next week.
Okay.
All right. Have a
Bye-bye
good
now.
one.
Bye.
Can they send
Hey,
us information?
Michael,
I'll get it from Fran. She wrote it.
Michael,
Yeah,
She's on there.
you recorded this, right?
Yes, we
And
did.
we have other people on the board and other people interested from our church. How do we access the recording? Share with
yeah,
them?
it's, I don't have it right in front of me, but you can go to WPC, which is .org, which is our church organization. And I think you can just search it and look for Peace and Justice Work Group, and we'll have a number of well, if not, Fran, just give me your email and I'll make sure that we share. I'll make sure I'll get the right connection, but I think you can find it right off of WPC.org.
Okay. I'll type it in.
All right.
Thanks, Frank.
I definitely like to have that information, Fran. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hi,
That's Cynthia.
I'm Cynthia. I'm from St. Martha's Church as well, but I'm also working for the Behavioral and Health Consortium in conjunction with the Lieutenant Governor, Bethany Harlong. I'm Mrs. West.
So I got it here, JF,
Can't hear me.
JRNS@gmail.
Uh-huh.
She's got her.
Very good.
Thank you so much for hosting this.
Our pleasure, our pleasure.
I learned a lot and I really appreciate it. He was
Yeah,
really
great.
good.
Thank you.
Thank
I'd love
you,
for him to come
everybody. Have a
down.
great night.
Bye. He didn't hear me at all.